Yo, this is a video of me playing 50NL on PokerStars. This is about 6 months ago, halfway through 2013. As you can see here, I had about 500 VPPs to go until Platinum. And it was like the last day of June. So I decided to, and it was a Sunday, so it was like a perfect storm to put in a decent grind. And I recorded about, let me see, almost 5 hours of this. So I probably won't post all 5 hours in one video, but I will try and voice over all 5 hours. It's a pretty cool session. My style has changed quite a bit since then. Also, on a side note, Ace King 4 betting is better, I think, because I can get it in with a versus a 5-bet shove, and calling out of position is really ugly because you're only gonna get. Well, I'm gonna pause this for a second and rewind. Yeah, so here with the Ace King, he has a really high 3-bet. Well, really high. It's like above average. I think average is about 4%, 4.5% at these stakes. Maybe even lower, like around 4%. So 5.4% is decently high. So he'll realize this. He's a regular. My purple is my regular color. He'll realize that I know this, and he'll know that I'll be 4-betting light sometimes as well. Hold on. So he'll know that I know that he's 3-betting light sometimes. So I'll be 4-betting light sometimes. So when I 4-bet, he can 5-bet shove light for sure. And Ace King as decent equity against a 5-bet shoving range. Also, and this is actually kind of more important, there's enough money in the pot pre-flop to justify taking it down. There's over 10 big blinds in the pot, and I'm risking 21 big blinds. So even if it's like shoving pure value, then I can still 4-bet call off pretty efficiently. Also, calling pre-flop to a 3-bet is not good. You're out of position to start off with, so basically whenever you're playing a hand out of position, you will need to have your opponent dominated in pure in-hand strength, or like have a massive skill edge, but that skill edge would be so ridiculously big. It's basically only if you play against either drunk people or people that just installed the software. That's like one of the few opportunities where you'll have like a profitable defend out of position. Also, Ace King, it may sound ridiculous, but it's not a paired hand. Like defending here with queens, for example, and then just going with it on any non-ace, non-king high board is a lot better than defending with Ace King and going with it on any ace high or king high board, because you'll only hit a pair about a third of the time. And if he's 3-betting here for value with, let's say, queens or even kings, and like if he's 3-betting here with kings and you hit an ace on the flop, then he'll probably pot control. Although that's hard in the 3-bet pot, but still he probably won't get all of his money. And with queens, if you hit any of your 2-pair, he'll be able to pot control as well, since he's in position. Also, you won't be able to value bet really efficiently. And finally, your hand is relatively face up as like not aces or kings, and not like 9-10 suited or anything. So your range is pretty much, if you call the 3-bet, it's pretty much queens, jacks, ace king or ace queen. So yeah, 4-betting is better, and I believe he ends up folding. Okay, with the kings, it's you can flat this and keep your hand disguised, but I like 3-betting just because he's a shortest stack, and shortest stacks usually don't really fold queens or ace king, and if he calls with like jacks or tens or queens here, then I can just value bet post flop very efficiently. Here I flop an overpair with a flush draw, and this is very standard to just see bet and get in. On the bottom, this is a very standard c-bet on a board this dry. 886. I make my c-bet with the kings about half pot, just to give him some rope. Yeah, he shoves relatively quickly, and like I said, this is really a non-decision. Just pretty much insta call, and he has queens. His play is okay-ish. The thing is with 3 hearts, when I c-bet, I will never have air. I will never 3-bet and c-bet there with air hands, just because he's so likely to shove. So I will have at least the ace of hearts, with most likely a king. That's like my lightest hand, is like ace king offsuit with the ace of hearts, and I would just bet call there as well, and he'll have like 50-50. So best case scenario is 50-50, and worst case scenario is drawing to like 1 or 2 outs. Gonna pause it for a second, 2 hands at the same time. With the deuces, this is a really easy overcall. He isolates a fish, but they're like all 3 of us. The fish, the regular, Rush is a decent regular, and me roll 3 pretty deep, 120 big blinds each, and then send mining becomes very profitable. So I just overcall and expect the fish to call, and maybe like a blind can come along, because the small blind is pretty fishy as well. The only worry here is that the big blinds might squeeze, but out of position and with the fish in the pot, I expect him to overcall a lot more. Like for example, if he has like king jack suited here, I expect him to call and keep the fish in rather than squeeze. And another worry may be that the fish is limp raising, but limp raising usually goes from early position and not really from middle position. With the ace jack, I have a gut shot, an overcard, and a backdoor nut flush draw. This should be a c-bet. The thing I'm gonna pay attention to is how much I c-bet. At this point, I have a pretty bad c-betting strategy. I've worked a lot on it on the past 6 months. I have improved a lot on it. I did a lot of math on on what needs to work, how much c-bets work on which boards, in various positions. At this point, c-betting is probably the point of video is made. C-betting is probably the weakest part of my game, and at the point that I'm voicing it over, c-betting is definitely one of the stronger parts of my game, just because I spent the last 6 months basically focusing on c-betting and barreling almost exclusively. So there might be a decent amount of mistakes on c-betting, especially on boards like this. The things that I probably will do here very well, and I would do less right now, like the point, like issues that I have right now is probably value betting. Like at this point in the video, I'm an extremely good value better, and I kind of let that slide a bit in the last 6 months. Anyway, yeah, I do see bet. That's good. So with the deuces, this should be. I like raising here for sure. There's a flush draw on the board, and we're pretty deep, and the fish can definitely still overcall. Whether like if the fish has like queen jack here, whether I raise to let's say 11 or just call, he won't really care. He'll have the same like I have top pair, I call strategy. So I like raising more. Also like when he c-bets the regular, he most likely has a hand, because regulars have, correctly so by the way, I have the same thing, have a pretty tight c-betting strategy in multi-way plots, especially against fish, because like if he has like ace king or ace jack here, I don't think you should c-bet. Maybe ace king because you have 2 overcards, but ace jack is definitely, I don't think it's c-bet, and like anything less than that is not a c-bet. So when he c-bets, I expect him to have a hand there a decent amount of time. Anyway, I end up just calling, which is okay as well. You keep the fish in, and I'm pretty sure you can get close to his stack in the middle on the river. Yeah, I like a decent size bet there for sure. Just value bet, like jack 10 suited with open and straight was really easy. really easy c-bet. I would probably check and hope for a free river with the jack 10 suited. The thing is, when he calls, he's like a weaker player as well. Red, by the way, is my color for weaker players. Ironically, I've accidentally marked myself as a fish, but that's just on a side note. When he calls, I expect him to have ace jack ace 10 sometimes. He won't be folding that on the turn. Maybe he folds ace 10, but I don't think so. He maybe have 9-10 sometimes, but I don't really expect that to fold either. And like the most part is gonna be like ace king, king jack, king queen, ace queen, queen jack, like just one pair hands or two pair hands that will never fold. I have a decent amount of outs if he checks behind, but if I bet, I'm just gonna get more money in the pot, and it's not gonna fold, and it's unlikely to fold the river as well. Also, like ace jack is obviously gonna raise. Also, he's not gonna value bet light here. Like he's not gonna. He may value he may bet like queen jack, but it won't be a value bet. It will be semi bluff, and like I think he checks behind like king 9 or ace queen or something. Yeah, he checks behind. I'm just check folding with the jack 10 suited, by the way, and not doing anything. With the deuces, even though it's a flush card on the river, I'm not really that worried. I'm like slightly worried because he check calls twice, which definitely could be a flush draw, and he could have like something to go along with it. What I could do here, I have like a few options. I think the option I like the most is betting like $14 and folding to a shove, which is like, it may sound dirty because like I will get 2-1 to call on the river if he check shoves, but I think he will just always call with his ace queen, queen jack, maybe queen 10, 10-8 out of hands. I don't think he has 10-8 ever, because like it'd be pretty ridiculous. We could have like maybe like a 6-7 type of hand or something. So I definitely want to value bet. I don't want to make it too big because his marginal hands, especially if they're second pair hands, like an ace 10 type of hand, then like he could definitely have ace 10 by the way. He's a fish, so he could have pretty much anything. They will definitely just flat call. I don't think he'll ever check shove a weaker hand, and I don't think he ever check shoves as a bluff. So basically when he check shoves, it's purely either with queens, 10s, 6s, 8s, or a flush. And at the same time, I think he will, if I were to shove on the river, I think he'd be too scared to call with like, let's say, queen 9 or queen jack or something. So I feel very safe just betting 14, like a third of the pot approximately, and then folding to a shove. Also, we're deep enough to do this. If he has like, let's say like 25 left or something, then that would be definitely a mistake. Then I would just shove, or like 30 or something. So I hope I do this. Oh, he just dunk shoves. This is a very annoying spot. Usually I would just fold. I don't know. I think I call here, but if I would make this decision right now, I think I would fold here. The line this fish takes, like check all, and then when the draw hits donk shove, is very often for value. It's very often a fish going like I call, and then oh, I don't want to miss value, I donk shove. So even though my hand is very strong, it's definitely on the bottom. Like either he has like a bluff here, or he has a stronger hand than me, and I don't think he bluffs very often. Like he has the bluff here about 33% of the time, which is a lot, and I don't think it does that. Despite what the result, I don't really remember what the result is, but despite what the result is, I don't think he bluffs there a third of the time. So I think it's actually a fold. Let's see what I do. I snap call. Okay, and he has a bluff. Yeah, I don't really know what he was doing. Usually, players like that would be check call, and then check call the river again. I'm not sure why he shoved. To be honest, it's extremely strange. I rarely see hands play like that, and I don't like my call, to be honest. It's yeah. Yeah, I went over my thought process. It happens to work out in this specific spot, but I don't like my call. I'm probably explaining at this time why I'm a genius. but no, this is not a good call. Now he flats here when I have aces on the bottom. Well, I'm pretty much just c-betting twice and then yeah, just definitely just check fold into this, I think. Okay, so I call. The reason why I like check folding more, bet folding more, is because even if he has a draw, he can just bet and then either check behind if he misses his draw or value bet when he hits his draw. It's gonna be very hard for me to call again on the turn, even on a card like this. And when he just flats pre-flop, he has a bunch of just pocket pairs, like even queens he can have you, or like you can even like queen 10 suited. The reason why I called is because this board is so draw heavy that he actually has more draws than sets. Like you can definitely have like king jack. He may even have like queen jack or king queen and go like with a merge raise to get value from draws, but that's like kind of a more advanced play. I don't really think regular side that's going to do it. I would definitely call a check raise if I was in position here, because I could spot control, I could do everything, and now I can't really do anything. So when he bets the turn, if he does bet the turn, usually they bet the turn when they raise the flop. Even if they have a draw. Like here, this for me is like a very tough spot now, because if I call now, there will be 38 in the pot on the river, and I'll have 37 behind, so he can just shove the river, and I can't really call the river. So the thing is that by calling the flop, it's not very profitable, and you get yourself into a lot of unprofitable situations on later streets. So I'm not sure what I'm explaining at this point. Probably that I suck. No, I don't know. It's I probably explained that I would check call any river if draws missed. That was most likely the plan as soon as I check called the flop. But with this river hitting, pretty much everything gets there except like king jack, and then he value bets like half pot. So yeah, this is a really easy value bet again on turn. I have like top 2 pair and a flush draw, which is an Omaha hand almost. Yeah, I don't like how I play aces. This is kind of a... I don't really make those mistakes very often, not even back then. I'm not sure why I made it at this point. This is kind of mistake that would tilt the crap out of me right now, and back then I could just shrug it off. Yeah, I just don't like how I played that at all. And then he like value bets half pot. I don't think he ever bluffs small here on the river. And basically I get, like, if he was merge ranging with like queen jack or something, or like 10 jack, then he just got there as well. It's like one of the worst cards in the deck. I think the king of spades is probably the worst card, but queen of the jack of spades is definitely the second worst card. Now I'm probably explaining why that I would have called the river if it was a relative brick. But the thing is, there's like 50% of the cards are basically not bricks, so there aren't really a lot of rivers that I can just call. And even on the rivers that I can call, I will be beat sometimes. They're just easier to just fold the flop out of position. People aren't really exploiting that fact that you're folding too many flops, like not on this level, maybe on like 100 to 0 or something, or 200 to 0. People will start exploiting that and start bluff raising way more flops. But on this level, people aren't exploiting that. And if they are exploiting it, you'll see extremely quickly. Like, you'll find out extremely quickly. Also, like raise flop and then triple barrel as a bluff, that's not really an existing line that people take. Yeah, here I isolated king queen suited and I just value bet with c-bet with overcards and backdoor flush draw. Flop a set. I'm probably gonna flop a lot of sets because I win money in this session. Spoiler alert, I win money in this session. Yeah, here I'm gonna pause it for a second. Here, it's very important that you start raising at the flop. Like, even though this is a very dry board and you don't really represent anything except for a set, um, especially when this guy is a weaker player, he will not fold an overpair. Like, I don't expect him to even fold like nines or tens. So, so definitely just start raising and then make your opponents, like, force your opponent to make a mistake. Like, if you force your opponent to to make the decision, then you're always going to be in a good spot, because like he either makes a mistake or he makes a correct fold. But like, making a correct fold in this spot isn't even that bad for you, because you still win the pot, and when he calls, like, you win a bigger pot. So, and by just flatting here, you give him like any 5, any 6 are like ugly cards, and then like you can give him like pot control options, because you can just check call turn and river, and you aren't able to get your entire stack in the middle if you just flat the flop. So it's very important that you just raise the flop, even though you're not repping like that much. Just see, like, value bet in the turn. Like, he could have jacks here or something, but it's not really an issue. Just get it in with the set. What's the fine? That's jacks. Okay, that's not. You shouldn't even give that any thought. This is just. This is purely bad luck. Also, like, he's bet calling the flop with pocket jacks, which isn't really that good. That's also why you should raise the flop immediately, because if they're bet calling with pocket jacks, then, I mean, just throw in the money. Also, they'll have like overpairs that get a lot of scare cards, because even if there's like a 5 or a 6, it's like, it's not only possible for you to be beat, it's also gonna be very hard to get value on the air streets, because you could raise like a pair with a gut shot or just pure gut shots or something. And if he has like hands like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, then he'll get scared by aces and by an ace or a king on the turn or river. So just getting money while you're relatively sure that you're ahead. So at this point I'm down like I'm probably like about even profit wise, and with some annoying hands, with like the ace hand where I made a mistake, and then the 4s versus jacks hand where I just got coolered. And it's very important that you don't get this let this get to you. Like, to be honest, right now, like back then I had a full-time job, so the money meant nothing to me. It was very easy to just shrug it off. Like, and right now I'm a full-time player, and it's a lot harder when the money is important to just shrug this off. So yeah, so it's very important that you just let mistakes just like roll off and just move on to the next hand. This board is with the ace king 3 hand. Like, you have the best hand a large amount of the time, and even if you didn't, the board is just so good to just c-bet and take it down, because they'll call with a lot of suited connectors and under pairs. Then you can just bet 1 and then give up. Like, no matter what the turn is, unless the turn is a queen, just like bet 1 and give up to further action, and it's profitable on that specific board, not on any board. Yeah, so some notes are my opening range might be different from what it is now. I'm not really sure what it was back then. Well, I'll have to see. I'll probably open a bit more buttons now than I did back then. And I'm probably a bit tighter from middle position than now than I was back then. Oh, this is a really good board to see, but I should always see about this. and now I should just try and check it down. Maybe get it checked down against like 4-5. Like, okay, now just check it down. Once he calls, he always has either ace high or a really strong hand, like maybe pocket sixes or a slow played kings, queens, aces. So this is definitely a good board to just fire one and then give up to further action. Good boards to fire multiple barrels, especially like 3 barrels, is for example like Queen Jack X boards, because they'll often have a one pair hand that will call twice and fold river. When you're firing multiple barrels, you always try to see what your opponent's range is, and then see if you can get him off it by the end of the hand. So yeah, you should keep in mind that technical skill is only part of what makes a poker player successful. The large part, especially in full-ring, consistency is one of the key aspects in full-ring poker, because like a mistake in, for example, that aces hand where I lost about 40 big blinds, that ruins about an average of 30-45 minutes in a session. So making a mistake in one hand ruins like a half an hour or 45 minutes. So it's very important that you're focused throughout your entire session and that you stay consistent throughout all your sessions. And consistency is often achieved by being with the ace-10, the defend is kind of weak. I like 3-betting more, but he has a really low fold to 3-bet, so which is the last number on the second row. It's 20% is really low. An average is about 65%, 70%. So I could just like 3-bet, and then he'll probably call with worse hands, and then I have aggression in the hand, so it's easier for me to just c-bet and take it down. With this hand, I could donk out because there are a lot of bad cards that can go off on the turn if he checks behind, and he's not really c-betting that board a lot because it's a very bad board to c-bet with air. Like even like if he has like ace queen or ace jack, when he has a gut shot and over, it's still a relatively uncomfortable board to c-bet. And when I just donk out, I can just take it down, and I avoid cards like queen or jack coming off on the turn, and I can keep barreling on, for example, this specific card, like a 4 of hearts and basically any hearts. So yeah, and then when he checks behind, I just lead out on the turn, which is very optimal. So yeah, consistency is very important, and it's definitely something you should keep an eye on very closely. That if you're being if you have a lot of swingy sessions, especially in full ring, in 6-max it's a little bit normal, but in full ring, if you have a lot of swingy sessions, you should maybe be a little bit more risk averse, and just go for the more clear cut profitable options. Because even if an option is like slightly profitable but it tilts you every time you lose, then that makes the specific play that you're about to do a losing play, because you'll lose money in future hands. With 9s I would probably just c-bet, kind of depending on the player. If he's, hold on, I'll pause it, it's kind of important spot. If he is a regular, I would probably just c-bet once and give up to further action. Excuse me. If he's a fish, I would probably fire 2 barrels at most boards. Especially like he was playing like a variety of stakes, like 3 tables on one thing and then 1 table on another stake, which is kind of weird. I don't really see that very often. The thing is, a fish could have like 6-7, 7-8, 8-9, Jack-10, 9-10, stuff like that here. And you can bet twice for value, and then he will not take over the betting on the river. So he will not incorrectly try to value bet those second pair types of hands or those gut shots. He will just try to check them down. Whereas a regular, he will not have a lot of those hands. Like a regular is very unlikely to flat like 6-7 suited in this spot, or 8-9 suited. And if they're gonna float with like let's say Jack-10 suited, then is probably gonna bet both turn and river. So by check calling turn, by betting turn, then you're gonna get faced by a bet on the river, or even like a raise on the turn. So he'll make your life very hard when he's in position. So this is just bet once if he's a regular, and bet twice if he's a fish. With the queen's hand, when this guy flats on the button, is a pretty weaker player, because you can see the stack size. He doesn't have a full stack size. His VPIP is really high for a full ring. Well, it's like definitely over the average. And he has a limp percentage. Like any player, if you see a limp, like a limp here is the number right after the name. It's like name, limp, and then number of hands. And if you see anyone with a limp percentage, it's basically a telltale sign that he's a weaker player. This guy has a relatively high 3-bet percentage of 5.8, which is about 1.5-2% above average at these stakes. And he was squeezing here a decent amount. The fact that, so this is kind of interesting, because queens is definitely ahead of his 3-betting range. That's pretty obvious. When I'm 4-betting here, I'm always strong, because there's a fish on the button that will maybe go with like ace queen or something, and if I have like Jack-10 suited or something, I don't want to 4-bet here ever. Also, the fact that he squeezes like Jack-10 suited doesn't block anything except for Jack-10 tens, quite obviously, but it's not gonna, like, I would maybe 4-bet with like a suited ace, but I don't think I 4-bet bluff here that often. And folding is not really an option, so calling is definitely the best option. And then you can just, especially if you're in position, you can just raise any non-ace, non-king high boards. And the fact that the fish might call behind puts in more dead money and puts in a weaker player. Like for example, if he has like 9-10 suited, which is like a likely option if he flats the button, you can just he'll incorrectly call more bets with like a top pair. Like if the flop is 9-7-3 and he has 9-10 suited, then he'll call more bets. So queen is an easy call. Let's see what I do. Well, it's not an easy call, but it's a call for sure. I think about 4-betting here for sure. It's always good to think about your options. Like, you don't insta react, like especially in game. Like these are bigger hands. I do go for the 4-bet in the end, but it's very important that you think about all your options. Not just there will very likely be always one option that just sticks out in your mind like instantly, and then you'll be very how do you say this, like you'll be very easily swayed to see all the positive arguments for the first option that sticks out in your mind and only the negative for any other option. And it's very important to just keep an open mind and think through all the options. As soon as I 4-bet, by the way, I'm calling a 5-bet shove always. I'm not 4-bet folding with queens. Here with 9s, I checked how many tables he was playing to see if he was a weaker player. And as said before, I'm definitely going with a double barrel. It's a bad board with queens versus that guy. He clearly thought I was making a play there, which I'm not very often. I don't like is getting in with jacks. I think when I 4-bet, he could call, but I don't really like that. Like, to be honest, I don't really like the 3-bet is actually fine because the button is fish and he would isolate the fish. But when I 4-bet, when he 5-bet shoves, I'm just calling with like all my stronger hands and folding all my weaker hands, so it doesn't really do much. I'm just I think he's just getting himself into a lot of unprofitable situations by playing it like that. It was like an annoying flop, by the way, with the ace high, because he'll have like aces and ace king a lot. So yeah. Here with the 9-10 suited, they made a 3-bet was so extremely small, and I have an implied hand that plays well against any hand that I can just easily call and see a flop here. When even though I hit a pair on this on this ace 9-5 flop, it's a really bad board for me. Basically, any club has a ton of equity against me, and any ace will pot control against me and stuff like that. So with the 8-9 suited, I'm not sure what I did pre-flop, but the flop is really easy. I just should go for multiple barrels. Also, like I can wrap a draw and stuff like that, and he'll overvalue aces and kings. He just ends up check folding, probably with ace king or something. But yeah, definitely squeeze with queens. Queens don't play well in like a 5-way pot, so just squeeze and thin out the field. As soon as I squeeze, I'm not intending on folding. Here with sixes, he raises the flop. It's very easy fold. This is actually a tough spot. He's a weaker player. Also, it was clear that he's a weaker player by the fact that he instantly called to my squeeze. So when he instantly calls, I pretty much throw out aces and kings. Flatting 3-bets with aces and kings is usually a play that requires some thought, and it's usually not a play that a lot of weaker players do. So they would get very excited and start 4-betting. So I throw out aces and kings. So the hands that he could have here are most likely pairs between 7s and maybe 6s and queens, but I have queens, so it's extremely unlikely he has queens. It's also pretty unlikely as 7s, because I mean he would have hit a set, and that's who hits sets. So he has most likely a hand between a hand like a middling pocket pair, or a hand like ace king, ace queen. Since I have the queen of diamonds, I'm only pretty much dead against ace king with the king of diamonds, which is one specific hand, and pocket sevens. Even I have against pocket sevens, I have a flush draw. So I'm dead against one hand, which is yeah, it makes me in a pretty easy spot. So even though this board looks bad, if you think about his range and think about the hands that he most likely has, this is actually a pretty decent board. So what I'm planning here is, since c-betting is going to get him off, like if he has pocket 8s without a diamond here, or pocket 6s without a diamond, or even pocket checks without a diamond, then he's most likely just going to either fold or like call one bet and then fold. And with any pocket pair with a diamond, he's going to call one and try and pot control, even though that's not going to happen on like I'm always going to get his stack on future streets when he tries to pot control, because there's too much money in the pot. He'll still attempt it. So what I want to do here is, since I don't have really a lot of flushes in my range, even though he probably won't think about it that deeply, he'll probably feel that a bit subconsciously. Like a lot of fish have some feeling for the game, but have no self-control or no thought process that goes with it. So what I want to do is get the money in on the flop while I am most likely ahead. And if he has a pocket pair with a diamond, he'll most likely try to bet here and get me off my hands. And the same for a pocket pair without a diamond. I think pocket pairs without a diamond will bet fold, and pocket pairs with a diamond will bet call. So I'm going for a check shove. Also, if he has something like king queen offsuit with a diamond, with like the king of diamonds, or like king jack with a diamond or something of that nature, then I can get it in here without like letting him just draw for free. He bets $5. This is a lot less than I was hoping for. I wanted him to bet like 12.5, so he'll have like about 30 in a stack left, and it'll be about 30 in the pot. Now there's 25 in the pot, and he has 37 in his stack, which is, it makes it more annoying. But I definitely, like, if I would check raise here to a non-shove, it'd be like $14 approximately, and with $14, it's I don't like that sizing, so I think check shoving is the best option here. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, raising to $14 here, and I end up going for the shove. Okay, good. He insta calls, and I turn a queen, and then I river a full house. So this is perfect. And I don't know what he had. He had jacks with a diamond, which is like about what I put him on. It's the top end of his pocket pair range, but it's approximately what I put him on. And he did pretty much exactly what I wanted. Just, it's nice when things work out. Also, he'll have like king jack of diamonds here sometimes, or like ace king with a diamond here. It's important that you don't let yourself get results oriented, because like you'll easily think that it's a bad check shove when he shows up with king jack of diamonds because you lose the hand, even though it's still a profitable check shove, even though the move is correct. So yeah, so you have to be careful that you don't let results dictate your thought process on future hands. With ace king of hearts versus a weaker player, it's a really easy 3-bet. Yeah, I don't really need to explain that, I don't think. I folded queen 7 on the button there. It's not a good fold. I definitely should have raised that. Queen jack offsuit is a really standard raise. I don't really like isolating that much with 3-betters in the blinds and on the button, so I just end up folding. It's definitely the top of my folding range there. I could see myself isolating. Now it gets a little bit more tricky with the jacks. Again, here you need to take a step back and think about it. He's a short stacker at 3-bets. Short stackers have usually, even though I don't have any stats on him, he has a gold star, so he has played some hands. Short stackers usually have a relatively high 3-bet percentage, and especially from the late positions. So he'll be resealing here with pretty much any Broadway, and even like 7s or 8s, they're very uncomfortable in flatting that, so they probably just like 3-bet call with pocket 8s or something, and it's close to correct for their stack size. The only thing I'm worried about here, like if this is me opening and the 3-bets from the button, then I would always just 4-bet shove. The problem here I have is that I don't really have any read on the opener, and the big blind could wake up with a hand, and jacks is like queens is pretty easy decision here. I could just 4-bet get it in. With jacks it's a lot closer. I still like just 4-bet getting it in, because there is enough dead money in the middle that there's $6 in the middle, and I risk basically $20. The big blind is gonna wake up with a hand there extremely infrequently. It's gonna be like 2 or 3%, no, like 5% at a time or something. So yeah, I don't lose that much just for the big blinds. If he happens to wake up with any of only 3 hands that are actually stronger than me, because like aces, kings, and queens are the only hands that are stronger than me, and I win a bunch every time I'm ahead. So, and I flop a set on the bottom. Not sure why I check. I think that's pretty easy c-bet. I'm gonna rewind for a second to the beginning of the 6s hand to see what happened there. Oh, okay. I get basically min 3-betted, so it's a really easy set mine versus 2 almost full stacks, and that's why I checked as well, because the 3-better most likely has an overpair or a really strong hand. I could just check raise here, and then the overcaller check raises to a third of the pot because the 3-better min bet. It's a really weird bet sizing going on in this hand, and I just decide to just jack it up to a full pot size because it's a really dry heavy board, and even though I'm not worried about being outdrawn or being behind, like I could be outdrawn, but if he has a draw, then it's whatever. I'm mostly worried about losing action when a flush card comes in, when a 5 comes in, when an 8 comes in, when even like a 3 comes in. Then it's going to be very wary of getting it in with aces or kings or queens. So I just want to pump in money while I'm sure that he feels more comfortable about his hand. And now there's, as you can see, there's almost $30 in the middle, and he only has 35 behind. So I can just bet 18 and get it in on the river. The reason why I don't shove the turn is because it would be overbetting the turn, and that's not very good. I don't like overbetting the turn. He ends up having aces. Pretty much what I thought. I don't really get why he min bets the flop. Maybe I misclicked or something. But yeah, this is so yeah. Also, the point that I made earlier about playing consistently, I made a lot of good decisions. Like after that pocket aces hand where I made like a pretty big mistake, it could have tilted me, and then I lost with set over set, and like I lost like almost 2 buy-ins in like a really short amount of time, like 5 minutes or something. That could have tilted the crap out of me, but I kept my cool. I thought through all the hands, and I played all the hands very well, and now I'm up about, I would say, 3 buy-ins or something. So it's very important that you keep your cool. When he check calls on a pretty, no, I check behind that. No, he check called, right? With on the jack 4. I don't know why I'm betting the turn, to be honest. I should just be checking behind the turn and just giving up. Yeah, it's not really good bet. The thing is, when he check calls a pretty dry board, he usually has like a pocket pair of some sort, maybe even a jack, and there are no draws for me to double barrel him off, and the 8 is not a scare card in any way, so I 3-bets from the small blind. Pocket 10s doesn't really play well enough post flop. It doesn't. I don't have set mining odds. I think just folding there, even though it looks kind of weak. When I raise under the gun and he 3-bets me out of position from the small blind, it's very often a really strong hand, so I just fold. Definitely the best option. Queen Jack here. There, I could 3-bet. I could flat. I think you could go either way. It's definitely, you can definitely go either way. I think I tend to 3-bet more against people that have a high folded 3-bet, and flat more against people that have a low folded 3-bet. Just because taking it down pre-flop is very valuable, and when he has a low folded 3-bet, I would play like juiced up pots, so with a marginal hand, which is not really what I want to do. Against fish, I would probably just 3-bet, because they'll fold to c-bet so much that they'll just flat 3-bet and then fold to a c-bet, so that it just gets him more money to take down post flop. I'll probably make this first segment about an hour long or something, and then see what I'm gonna do with the other. There are like, I went through 22 minutes so far. In that took me about 50 minutes, and there are like 4 hours and 20 minutes more to go. So this could be really long. This is really, oh, I should pause this for a second. The raise is marginal pre-flop. Like King Jack, you can fold this, you can raise this. I was probably feeling relatively confident at this point because I was up a bunch of money in a relatively short amount of time, that I just raised it. It's definitely a c-bet. It's closer than it looks, because like it looks like a really bad board, like a relatively bad board, but it's closer than it looks because it has a flush draw on it, it has connecting cards, and his calling range preflop will be a bunch of pocket pairs that will not fold here, and suited connectors sometimes that may not fold here. I'm basically getting him off like the ace highs. The reason why this it makes it definitely a c-bet is because I have overcards and a backdoor flush draw. So, for example, this card, this is a perfect barreling card. It gives me a gut shot, gives me a flush draw. It's the scariest overcards. This is basically the ultimate barreling card. So I should. And you saw how quickly I bet as well, because there was like no doubt in my mind that I was always barreling that turn. When he calls, there are a few things going through my mind at this point, because he'll most likely call with a 10 here, but a 10 it's not a small part of his range. But it's definitely not a big part of his range either. So I think I would have barreled him off on the turn of 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. So I don't think he ever has those, and 9s even hit a set. So if I'm gonna barrel the river, that would be unwise. And he'll have like flushes here sometimes, and he will have floated maybe sometimes with like an ace high that would have binked the turn. So since I bricked everything, I'm just gonna give up here. And maybe he has like 6-7 or something and checks it down and I win. This is not gonna happen very often, but it's a possibility. So yeah, you could have a set as well. I think a set or like kings, queens, jacks type of hand is the most likely scenario. Maybe even like pocket tens, to be honest. I've flat this pocket fives here so often. This is marginal. The better the player you're flatting is. Like if this is a really good regular, this is probably an unprofitable set mine. But set mining is just so profitable in full-ring poker that it's very rarely incorrect to not set mine to a single raise. Like set mining to 3-bets is a completely different story. I definitely like 3-betting with queen 9 here. It's different from queen jack because it plays so much worse. So it's probably the top of my. It's not really the top of my falling range because it definitely can call there, but I think 3-betting is more profitable for sure. With queen jack suited, I flat and then just check fold a really dry board. This is kind of annoying. I can with pocket aces like c-betting just gets him off like any ace high type of hand. So and I don't really want to bet and get raised. So I think check calling is my best option, and then check calling most turns and then check folding most rivers would be the most likely scenario I'm going with, just because that's getting optimal value from his overpairs. Because if he has kings, queens, jacks here, that's most likely what how he's gonna play. He's gonna bet and then check behind on the river. That being said, it's kind of annoying because you give him like a lot of free cards to a 7 or a jack, which are really bad cards. Not necessarily for his range, although like a jack hits both pocket jacks and pocket queens, but he's gonna get scared with like especially 7s. He's gonna get scared with a lot of hands. Now I beat 2 pairs, so it's definitely a value bet on the river. And especially because he'll value his kings or queens or jacks a lot more now that those overpairs beat 2 pairs as well. Also, since I have the nut flush blocker, he has less flush draws and more 1 pair hands or 2 pair hands in this case. I don't think he calls a turn with an ace high, so it's a really easy value bet. And I expect to get called there a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's a bad call by him. Yeah, sometimes nothing happens in full ring. This is a really active session, to be honest. This is definitely in my top 10 of most active sessions that I've ever played at 50 and now. It's also in my, it's like in my top 5 of most profitable days, I think, because I win like 10 buy-ins or something, 5 hours. Here with checks, the thing is that it's a really good board to see bet as a bluff, and not really a good board to see bet with marginal value. But you really want to get him off like let's say ace queen or something. So he seems like a more decent player just based on his stack size. So I would probably just bet once, and then depending on the turn card, if the turn is an ace, then I would just bet again. If the turn is something like a 6 or a 7, I would most likely check behind and just check and check fold. Because when the turn is a 6 or a 7, or like even like a 9 or a 10, he don't really beat anything that he bets on the turn. So because he's unlikely to bet like his 7 or his 7-8 suited or his 8-9 suited on the turn. So yeah, I double barrel here, which is fine. This is definitely fine because the deuce is so low that he'll call again with ace 8 suited, 8-9 suited, 7-8 suited, 9s, 10s, stuff like that. So yeah, you can definitely value bet that twice. I just fold the ace queen suited. I can definitely see myself raising there as well, but yeah, folding is fine. Like if you have ace high or like any non-pair hand, you should never feel obligated to make a play. It's not like when someone bets small or does something weird or something, it's not like you have to raise them. Like folding with a non-pair hand is always a decent decision. Here I check raise on queen 4-3. I like this. It's kind of non-standard, but I don't really want to get floated, and like on this board I'm gonna get floated a lot, and it's just strong enough for him to think that I could be check folding. And I found out that when I check raise, people play extremely straightforward. So when I check raise and he calls, I'm just always giving up. He may have flush draws sometimes, but I'm just always giving up, unless I hit a 7, quite obviously. So he calls really quickly. I'm just completely done with the hand. This is actually annoying because it's a really good river to barrel on, and you see me lingering for a second, but yeah, the strategy was to immediately give up, and that's what I'm going with. I most likely think he has king queen there with the speed and the bet size that he used on the river, because he bet almost full pot, and he thought about it for like 2 seconds or something, maybe like 1 second. And when people don't really think about it, usually when people go for big bluffs, they have to think about it. They have to get themselves to convince themselves that it's the right play. Anyway, no hands are really happening right now, so I'm gonna end this video right here, and at 27 minutes, and I'll see what the feedback is on this first video, and if the feedback is good, then I'll review the rest of the session. As you can see, like, I don't know if this is in the screen, it probably is. I have about 4 hours and 15 minutes more in this session, and it's a really cool session as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, just fire them my way.